Here we have the components laid out for one side of the car, plus we also have the new number plate lamp which also incorporates the reverse light. So going through them, we have the LED unit itself, a gasket, the mounting block to mount the LED unit to the wing. Here we have the sleeved nuts and the tapered spacers for the inside of the wing, the number plate light itself, number plate light bracket, two nuts to fix the number plate light to the bracket, a blanking plate for the original fog or reverse light, and then we have some additional fixings here, which is a cradle clip, some P-clips and some rivets. That is to secure the wire along the back of the car. Finally, there's a few cable ties just to tidy up all the wiring once you've connected everything up. Now, here we have the tools that are required for this installation. What I have here is a file, a Phillips screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, an 8mm spanner, 4mm Allen key, a 4mm and a 10mm drill bit. We've got a cone cutter here just for opening up the hole in the rear wing for the connector plug to go through, some cutters for the cable ties, a ruler and a pen. Also, you'll want a rivet gun for the fixings and a drill. Okay, before we remove the original light unit from the wing, just want to disconnect the wiring plug here. You will find that the cable might be tied to a cradle clip inside the wing. Just cut the cable tie there. Remove this grommet here. And then that should reveal the plug for this light unit. Just squeeze the tab to release the plug. And there it is. We're now ready to unscrew this from the wing. To remove the light unit from the wing, there's two stages. First of all, you need a flathead screwdriver to remove the two screws here. That'll take the lens off, and behind that are four more screws which are holding the light unit onto the wing itself. So, remove the two screws. You may find that the light unit's a little bit tight on the rubber to begin with, so just give it a gentle flex and off it should come. Once the lens is removed, you have these four screws here, which you can remove easily with a Phillips screwdriver. Once the screws are all removed, again you may find that the rubber is just stuck to the wing, so little flexes and off it should come. What we're going to do now is just going to clean up the wing and prepare it for fitting the new unit. Okay, so now that the wing has been cleaned, there's a few more bits that we do need to prep before we can fit the new light unit. Firstly, you'll notice that it does have different fixings to the original. Where we had four in the corners before, we've got these two fixing points here, so we're going to have to drill a couple of additional holes for these. And another thing you'll find is that the original hole here is probably a little bit too small to get the connector through, so we're going to open this up a little bit as well. Firstly, if you have a cone cutter, it's a really good tool for widening this up. Simply put it in place. And that should be enough. If you don't have a cone cutter, then you can use a file and simply widen the hole like that. Now, the next thing, which is drilling the holes, a few little measurements to take just to ensure that your light is fitted nice and horizontally and it's not going to be at some unsightly angle. Now, best way to do this is to put some masking tape along where the original holes were, and luckily they are the exact same width apart as the original fixings. So if we measure between these two holes, find the center, that should make sure that that light is at the same position as the original one. Okay, so with the masking tape in place, what I'm going to do, use a pen, just reveal the original holes. Now the distance between these should be about 42 millimeters, going from center to center. So you just want to make a mark about 21 millimeters into it, and then you can just double check that by measuring the next part. Again, it should be about 42 millimeters. Mark at 21 there, and that's where you know where to drill your holes. Now, another thing you can do, just as a reference point, get another bit of masking tape, put it exactly above the top two holes. That way, when you offer the light unit up, you can just check that it's still got a nice square edge to this piece of tape here. So now that we've made our markings, we're going to drill the holes for the fixing points. They are 8 millimeters in diameter, the sleeve nuts. So we want to drill a 9 or a 10 millimeter hole just to give you a tiny bit of movement, make it a little bit easier when you're offering the light unit up. Before I drill the 9 or 10 millimeter hole, I'm just going to do a little pilot hole here first. With fiberglass, it just helps minimizing any cracking as you're drilling through it. Also good to have your drill on a low speed when you're doing this. Again, just helps to minimize any cracking of the fiberglass. Okay, so now we've drilled the holes, we can install this light unit to the wing. One final little bit of prep before we do so is to take a cradle clip and a rivet, and we're just going to fit this to one of the existing holes from the original lamp unit. That's just to hold the wiring on the inside of the wing once we fit up the new LED. So taking one of the cradle clips and a rivet, place it in the top right hand hole from the inside of the wing. If you don't have a rivet, you can use a self-tapping screw. Just nice and easy. Fit a cradle clip inside like that. Next, we're going to offer up the light unit. Just make sure that we're happy with the alignment and then tighten it to the wing. So we're going to need the 2 sleeve nuts and 2 tapered washers. And to tighten these, you just need a 4 millimeter Allen key. Take the light unit itself and the mounting bracket, pass the cable through the bracket, make sure the bigger edge is at the top, and with the light unit itself, they can go either way round from left to right. You'll notice on the back there is a marking saying outside, but a more easy way to visual is to look at this C shape here, and you'll notice there's a gap there. That is always on the inside of the unit. So pass the connector through the hole and offer up the 2 fixing points to have just drilled. Right, now that we've got that in position, we can see it's a nice straight edge to our reference bit of tape here, so I'm happy with that. I'm now going to remove this tape and fit the light unit up. What we will need now, before fitting it up, is the gasket from the kit. That simply goes on the wing there between the light unit and the wing. Now it is slightly bigger at one side of the gasket to the other. You want the wider part of it at the top of the unit. So take one of your sleeve nuts, place the tapered washer over that, and then simply screw it on by hand to the fixings on the back of the unit. Can be a little bit fiddly sometimes to get this started, so just gently move the light unit around with your other hand on the outside of the wing and you should find its place. Now, wing light is fitted. Next thing we've got to do is to remove the original lamp units here for the fog and reverse. Much the same as removing the original wing lights, which is 2 screws first of all to remove the lens itself. Once that's off, you just want to move the reflector and bulb unit out the way, and that will reveal 2 Phillips screws in here. Simply unscrew them and the light unit will come away from the body. Now you want to retain these two Phillips screws here, because we'll use those to fit the blanking plate once the light is off. Now, once you've got this off, you're going to have to find the plug that is connecting that to the chassis loom in the vehicle. Now, you can often reach underneath and feel around for it. It'll probably be cable tied to one of the chassis rails. See in here, there's a little cable tie there holding the plug together. If we snip that, so once you've freed that up, you should be able to pull it out, get your hand behind the skin and disconnect the light unit like so. Now you do want to connector that's on the chassis loom, so for now it's probably a good idea just to leave it down like that, nice and accessible, because we're going to connect up to that when we install the loom later on. Now I'm just going to clean this surface and then very simply take the two original screws from that light unit and fit the blanking plate in place over the existing hole. Last lamp to remove is the number plate light, because the new reverse light is incorporated into this. Now we're going to remove the bracket as well, because there is a new bracket for the new lamp, and a couple of differences here depending on which light unit you've got. If you have one of the older bulb type ones, you will need to remove this front cover with the Phillips screw just to remove the live wire from the lamp unit itself. If you have an LED type number plate light, then there is a connector underneath here and an earth in one of the screws. Now this particular one is an LED type, so all we're going to do is remove the three screws holding the number plate bracket to the bottom of the chassis and disconnect the wiring. So just Phillips screws underneath here. And off it comes, as you can see on this one. There's the connector, undo it, and the whole unit comes away. This wire here is now redundant, so will not be required to be connected to anything on the new unit. So the new number plate bracket fits in exactly the same way. I'm going to use these three screws here and the original mounting points of the first bracket. Now it is helpful to take a 4mm drill bit and just to drill out these holes, just to make it easier to feed the screws through them. If the holes do not line up with the original ones of the original number plate bracket, then use the center screw, screw the bracket into place, then use your drill, 4mm drill bit, just to drill through and create a new fixing point. In the box here you'll have your new number plate light with the reverse light incorporated into it. Very simply, we have two fixing studs here that pass through the holes in the mounting bracket, and in the box you should have a couple of nuts there just to secure it on the back. Simply wind the nuts on and then tighten with an 8mm socket or spanner. Okay, now that's fitted. As you can see here, we have the other wing light and other reflector fitted. Exact same process as the other side. Once they're all done, it's time to wire them up. Once we've got the light units installed to the car, we want to fit the wiring loom in order to connect them all up. Now, laying the wiring loom out, you have two sides of the vehicle, there for the wing lights, and then the centre plug is for the new reverse and number plate light. Big connectors are for the lamps. These little connector here is for the reverse light. Now you'll notice there's two different colours on these. The green one is for the reverse and the fog is the orange one. These two connectors here are for the original plugs that would have gone into your original light units. Now we're going to install this along the back of the vehicle using the P-clips and rivets supplied to secure this wiring loom along the back tube of the chassis. So the new loom will have a connector for where the original light unit was plugged into, as well as the fog, reverse lights, and obviously the new lamp unit. Now we have this fog light one hanging down from where we removed that earlier. All I'm going to do now is pull that through. So that it's just on the inside of the side skin here, along with the original plug for the lamp unit, which is here. So the loom, which we've got here, that is the connector for the new rear light unit. You will see the orange single wire plug there is for the fog light, which we can connect up now. The other square plug goes into the original lamp unit's connector. And this one will pass through the body of the car, ready to be connected up to the lamp unit. First of all though, remove the lock ring from that plug and pass through the original hole for the wiring. Take the lock ring and secure in place like that. Once you've done that, take the wire from the lights unit itself, line it up with the plug and twist the ring and lock it in place. The connector in the centre of the wiring loom goes into the new number plate and reverse light unit like that. Exact same procedure for the reverse light plug, the original connector for the wing light and the new connector for the new LED light. Once you've got them all connected up, it's good to run through your lights, test them all, make sure everything's working. Once you're happy, it's time to tidy up the wiring and then you're good to go. The connectors here, you want to bunch them together with a few cable ties nice and securely, and then offer them up inside the side skin and cable tie them to the chassis rails up there nice and neatly, just so that they're out the way and they're not going to chafe on anything. So to secure the loom along the back of the car, what we've done here is we've drilled 3 fixing points here, here and here, and applied 3 P-clips around the wire and riveted into the chassis tube. Once you've got that secured, pull it nice and tight so that the plug is nicely in the centre. You're going to loop it underneath that fuel tank bracket here, and then along with the rest of this wiring, just cable tie it all up neatly to the chassis bars up there. Once that's all nice in place, same again, bunch these wires together. You want the connector up the top so it's nicely tucked away, and simply cable tie that wire to the loom that you've just fitted and secured to the chassis rail there. Once that's all tidied, you're done. Enjoy your LED lights.